Sanibonani bafundi and namkelekile to our next lesson. Life is full of questions. Have you noticed that? We ask questions about the weather, our relationships, our future, and life in general. Some of these questions are very difficult to answer accurately. Will it rain today? Can you accept the predictions made by the weatherman? But how many times have you been caught outside without an umbrella? Answers to some questions can never be 100% dependable. But other questions can be answered by doing some research and finding out solutions to our problems. Progress in life sciences depends on people asking questions about the living world around them and then taking time to find solutions to these problems and to answer the questions. Most often, scientists will follow an organized way of answering a question. This is called the scientific method. It is a logical problem-solving technique that works in a scientific way, following a specific pattern of steps. The steps of the scientific method are observation, followed by a question. The question is followed by research, which leads to the formulation of a hypothesis. An experiment then needs to be designed and then conducted. Results need to be recorded and analyzed. Conclusions can then be drawn. Finally, the hypothesis can be tested. The scientific method is an organized approach to solving a problem. Abantu abaninzi, most people actually use this method all the time in everyday situations in life without even being aware that they are performing these procedures or that the procedures have special names. In the lesson today, we will be looking at what each of these steps in the scientific method entails. Very often during the course of this year, while you are doing life sciences, you will need to use a scientific method to propose ways of investigating something. You may also need to look critically at an investigation and see whether it was done according to the scientific method or not. So, are you ready to start exploring the scientific method? Let's begin with the first step in the scientific method: observation. This occurs when a person observes or notices something that is unknown or uncertain. Maybe a scientist recognizes that a problem needs to be solved. Let's look at a simple example to demonstrate what we mean by observation. You notice that your coffee does not seem to taste as sweet this morning. You added the same amount of sugar, so you're puzzled. Your mother called you to pick up the towel you left lying on the floor in the bathroom just before you added the sugar to your coffee. And you did SMS your friend before you returned to the kitchen where you left your coffee. So when you finally added your sugar, the coffee was cooler than usual. Another problem to be solved. This observation or noticing of something about which you are uncertain or which is unknown is the first step in the scientific method. Science can end right there if you ignore your observations, but usually what happens is a logical progression to the next step, the question. A question is asked based on the observation. The question that is posed must be able to be answered through experimentation and investigation. It should be very precise in terms of what you want to find. The question focuses on identifying the problem very precisely and can be seen as the purpose of the investigation. Your cup of coffee that doesn't taste as sweet, what question could be based on this observation? A possible question could be, does temperature affect how sugar dissolves? Once you have posed your question, the next logical step in the scientific method is research. At this point of the process, you will research anything that may be known about the problem. Stay focused on your question and gather information about the problem that will help you with your experimentation and your understanding of the results. If your research question is, does temperature affect how sugar dissolves? Then you will research information on dissolving and solutions and temperature. So far you have learned that the scientific method is a series of logical steps taken to solve a problem or answer a question. You begin the process by observing, asking questions, and doing research. Before we move on, let's take a break. So banana gakona emva kwe break.